The No Man's Sky Voyagers update is absolutely game-changing, and I'm not just saying that for a bunch of hype. It literally changes the game, so much so that it just makes a ton of stuff that they've done in the past obsolete. Like, for example, all of the exocrafts. You don't need your exocrafts anymore. You don't need to learn them. You don't need to make them. They're all completely useless once you get a Corvette, which honestly is not hard to do before you even unlock your first exocraft. The game wants you to get into these new ships as soon as possible. So how does it make them all obsolete, you ask? Well, let me tell you. First off, these new ships do not have to land. They stop mid-air when you get up, and they just hover there wherever you got up at. This means you don't have to continuously burn thruster fuel in order to enter and exit the ship. You can just leave it hovering right next to the ground if you wish, to the point where you can just jump back up into it instead of using its teleport system if you wish to do that as well. But the important thing to note here is that you can use them to get a bit of height, and then when you're standing in the hatch or in the cockpit, you can just do a normal scan for whatever thing you are looking for. Then all you have to do is mark said thing, pop back into the cockpit, fly straight to it, fly over top of it, get out of the cockpit, go down to the ground, get said thing, rinse and repeat. This is incredibly OP and incredibly game breaking because it makes a whole chunk of the game absolutely useless. And it doesn't stop there. These things come with all of the storage boxes immediately unlocked, and they're relatively inexpensive to make. So if you have enough room in your ship, you can immediately outfit it with every single storage box without doing anything special to unlock said storage boxes, unlike what you have to do for your ground bases or your frigate. This means you have a mini mobile base that has massive amounts of storage that you can use to just fly around the planet and collect stuff endlessly. But in order to be able to do that, you're going to need a bunch of parts and a bunch of hull parts in order to have the space necessary to put all of those storage boxes. So let's quickly talk about how you can get a lot of additional parts. So the game briefly tells you how you can farm these parts. You want to look for salvage containers, and you can find those by scanning a planet and making sure that the planet says that it has salvageable scrap. If it has salvageable scrap, that means it contains a bunch of these salvage containers. What the game doesn't tell you is that a majority of the time, you never even need to leave the ship in order to harvest these. Make sure that you have a decent set of guns that do some type of AoE explosion on your ship, highlight the salvage container, fly to it, aim your nose right at it, and start firing around on the ground. Eventually, you will blow the salvage container up and then just collect those ship parts into your ship's inventory. It's a very quick and easy thing to do, and it's easy to stack up a ton of these parts. And now that you know how to get a ton of parts, let's quickly cover some parts and building tips. A lot of the parts that you will harvest will be useless for you, but you can do two things with them. You can trade them up for better parts, essentially just most of which are different skins on the interior. That is essentially the only difference between the different classes. Thunderbird class is rather rustic, the Titan class is more industrial, and the Ambassador looks like it's from the movie Aliens. The easiest way to get those different pieces is to just trade up from the pieces that you found. Now, there's something I do want to point out when it comes to trading up. Do not take anything it says over there where it's like your chances of trading are actually low. Click the button every single time. Drop in a piece, click the button. Drop in a new piece, click the button. It does not matter what it says there. I have gotten pieces from trading in stuff that's like a 2% chance. I'm not sure when it figures out whether or not it's going to actually make the trade, but it doesn't hurt anything to attempt to make the trade and for the trade to fail. So every time you switch out a new piece, try different pieces as well, just click the button. You can get stuff relatively cheaply, and a majority of the time, it's probably going to surprise you. The other thing you can do with all of your additional parts is just sell them and then buy parts flat out. As long as they're in your inventory or your ship's inventory, you can go to any trade spot and just sell the ship pieces. Some of them actually sell for a lot. This could be a really good strategy for making a ton of money, especially considering you never need to leave the ship in order to farm these parts. So now that you have a ton of parts and you've started to build your ship, there's two things I suggest doing. First off, if you are editing your ship, delete everything you have built inside of your ship. This can cause an absolute ton of glitchy nonsense if you don't. So don't worry, you do get all of the resources back. So if you already have a bunch of storage inside your ship, you decide to expand it, rearrange it, whatever, just go through the inside of your ship and delete everything. Make the changes to your ship, then go back in and put stuff back. Even if you're only changing things on the outside, I have had the refiner station just disappear on me because I moved a gun that was on the same wall that the refiner station was, and I did not get those resources. So make sure that you just delete everything first on the inside, then make your changes. The second thing I highly highly advise doing, and I'm going to explain more to you why here in a second, is that your hatch should be beside the cockpit. However you go about doing it, either underneath the cockpit, to the left, to the right of it, it doesn't matter. Put your hatch to the side of the cockpit and not the back. A lot of the different parts that you will add to your ship, for example, guns, things that are related to shields, will give you bonuses to your ship. And they act just like all of the different modules that you install into your exosuit or your multi-tool or any of your other different things. And because of such, they all share that synergistics option that all of your other stuff shares. So for example, you want to make sure that hull stuff is touching hull stuff, shield stuff is touching shield stuff. You get the idea. This isn't a new concept. What is something to note though, is that every time you make even the tiniest edit to your ship, this will all get jumbled up. So if there's a small something on your ship that you didn't like and you fly back in to make the changes to it, do note that your entire layout you did to ensure that everything is synergized properly is going to get all messed up and you're going to have to fix it every single time. And the last tip I have for you when it comes to building is that the ship builder will pull from the ship's inventory for parts as well as your inventory. Obviously, if it's the first time you are making a ship, you're going to have all the parts in your own inventory, but generally once you have it completed, I advise making sure that a majority of the parts are inside the ship's inventory and your inventory has many empty spots in it, especially if you are trading up. If you trade up to a new part and the part cannot go into your inventory, it just disappears. It should technically go into your parts cache, but it doesn't. It just disappears. Trust me, I found this out the hard way. Now, before we make a quick circle back around to farming so I can tell you why you should put the hatch near the cockpit, I want to point out something that is absolutely OP, and that is hotkeying the option to get out of the pilot seat. All you have to do is hit X, go over to the option to get out of the pilot seat, hold down control, hit whatever hotkey you want it bound to. The reason this is busted is because it bypasses anything that stops you from using that option when you're in some type of situation where it doesn't want you using that option. So for example, if you get too close to the ground, tells you can't do it. If you're in the middle of docking into another ship, tells you can't do it. Depending on what kind of fight you're in sometimes, tells you can't do it. But if you have it hotkeyed, you can just always get up. It doesn't matter what's going on. It also makes it so much easier when you're using this thing to farm. So now let's circle back around to farming a little bit so I can explain to you why I suggest to put the hatch near the cockpit. If you do this, all you have to do is point the nose of the ship of whatever thing you are trying to farm. So let's say you're farming copper. You go to the copper node in the ship, you point the nose right at it, you drive it all the way down to the ground or close to it. You hit whatever your hotkey is to get up out of the seat before the ship even comes to a stop. The ship will instantly come to a stop and go completely flat. Then you just drop out the hatch onto whatever node or whatever thing you're farming, farm it, and your teleport back up to the ship is literally right there beside you. And that is because the little teleport back up thingy literally centers on the bottom of the hatch block. So wherever that hatch block is where your teleporter back up is going to be. So depending on what shape your ship is or how big it is, that little thing could end up who knows where from the initial spot that you're trying to farm. But if you have it directly beside the cockpit and you point the cockpit at whatever you're trying to farm, it's going to be pretty much over top of it or very close to it, and so will your teleport back up to the ship, and it makes farming an absolute breeze. So not only is this thing broken for farming, it's also broken for finding hotspots. You can fly around a little bit, stand up in the cockpit, look around for hotspots, rinse and repeat until you find whatever hotspot you're looking for, because as I stated at the start of this, it makes every one of your exocraft obsolete because it just does everything better. And the last tip I have for you about the new Corvette is that getting inside of it ends any confrontation, especially if you are in a dogfight in space. All you need to do is get up out of the seat, and if you've hotkeyed the get up out of the seat option, you can always just get up out of the seat, and if you do this, it ends any type of space battle because you're no longer in a spaceship. The game thinks, I don't know, but it will just end any fight. Nothing will target you when you are standing up inside the ship. Because of this, you can use it to get away from any type of sentinel situation. If you're on the ground, get back into the ship. When the flying sentinels come, just stand up inside the ship. That's it. That's all you have to do. Wait long enough and you're good to go. If you get back in the pilot seat and you're still being chased after or attacked or the sentinels show back up, just stand back up again and wait a little longer. I've literally literally had this break entire massive battles that are supposed to happen and play out due to story reasons. I just stood up in the ship, the battle stopped, and it considered me winning and just moved on with the story. It's super broken. All right, that's pretty much all I've learned about the Corvette. If I learn new stuff, I'll make another video if this one does well. So if you liked this video, leave a comment down there to help out the algorithm, and consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell so you can be notified when I upload other videos. And if you're looking for some more of my content, you can find a link to another one of my videos on the screen right now. I want to give an absolute massive shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for helping to keep these videos sponsor free. You all are absolutely amazing people. If you would like to become an official channel supporter, check out the links in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. If you're shy, you don't like to comment, just hit that thumbs up button and share your support. Until next time, thanks for watching.